Imagine this. 120 Viking longships, carrying thousands of fierce warriors, sailing up the Seine River with one goal, to conquer the most powerful city in Francia. The year is 845, and Paris is about to face a siege unlike anything it has ever seen. But this isn't just a raid, this is a statement. A brutal display of Viking dominance that will send shockwaves across medieval Europe. The Frankish king, Charles the Bald, scrambles to defend his city, but can the walls of Paris hold back the Norse tide? Welcome to one of the most legendary battles of the Viking Age, the Siege of Paris. The Viking assault on Paris was no reckless charge. It was a calculated, methodical attack that tested the limits of both Viking ingenuity and Frankish resilience. The city was a fortress, protected by massive stone walls, guarded bridges, and the winding currents of the Seine. But the Vikings were relentless, and they had something their enemies feared: unmatched tenacity and a ruthless hunger for victory. The journey upriver was treacherous, but the Norse warriors pressed on, raiding and pillaging along the way, sending a clear message. Paris was next. When they finally reached the city, the defenders braced for impact. The first wave of the siege was brutal. Viking archers unleashed volleys of arrows, siege engines hurled fire, and warriors battered the gates with rams. But the Franks fought back fiercely, launching counterattacks, reinforcing their walls, and using the river itself as a weapon, blocking Viking ships and cutting off their reinforcements. The battle raged on for days. The Vikings tried everything, scaling ladders, burning the gates, even attempting to starve the defenders out. And just when it seemed like they might fail, they changed their strategy. Instead of brute force, they turned to fear. According to some accounts, the Viking leader, the infamous Ragnar Lothbrok, took a drastic step. He executed captured Frankish soldiers and hanged them from the trees along the riverbanks. It was psychological warfare at its most brutal. The message was clear: surrender or face annihilation. King Charles the Bald was left with an impossible choice. His city was on the brink of collapse, his army exhausted, and the Viking threat growing stronger by the day. With no other option, he did what many rulers before and after him would do. He paid the Vikings to leave. A ransom of 7,000 pounds of silver and gold was handed over, a staggering sum that would only embolden the Vikings further. Paris was spared, for now, but this siege would mark the beginning of many more Viking incursions into Frankish lands. The siege of Paris wasn't just a battle, it was a turning point. It proved that even the most fortified cities could fall to the Viking onslaught. It showed the world that these warriors were not just raiders, but